It's time for the 1480 Club. Here's John Lewis and Brian O'Neill.
Good morning and welcome to the 1480 Club on Tuesday, March 1st, 2016, Super Tuesday, March 1st. And we have 4 birthdays today. This is the most that we've had on the show. But happy birthday to Joe Ellington, Sarah Anderson, who I actually went to school with Sarah as Sarah Miles. So Sarah Anderson, happy birthday to you. Athena Scavo, who by next year will be Athena Ackley, because I know she's engaged. And happy birthday to Colin McGee. Happy birthday, guys. Super Tuesday show. Glad to have with us our syndicated morning show host, Mr. Gordon Deal, who is on WLEA weekdays from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Gordon, thank you for calling in.
Hey, John. Always happy to help out.
Great. Now, first question. Let's get right to it. Gordon, before you went nationwide, I understand you were on New York City radio. You were a reporter in New York.
Correct.
Have you ever covered a race that had so many candidates as we're seeing in this presidential race?
Oh, my goodness. The number is overwhelming. I was 17, I think, at the max on the Republican side. And really, I mean, those were just the ones, right, who were considered to have a big name. It doesn't even count who knows how many other dozens of others, right, were actually on the list. But the number, I think, was just astonishing. And I think it said a lot of different things for a lot of different reasons about why there were so many.
Gordon, if you look at the Republican candidate who was running against President Obama 4 years ago, it was billionaire Mitt Romney. Romney was far more diplomatic than billionaire candidate Donald Trump is, yet Trump's far more popular than Romney. Why do you think that is?
Boy, there is a certain, to invent a word here, Teflonness about Donald Trump. I think he speaks what many people are feeling, whether it's right or wrong. What grabs me the most is that just from a journalistic standpoint, there doesn't seem to be a good way to follow up. In other words, every time Donald Trump says something, the journalist in me wants to say, okay, great, but how? Right? Mexico's going to pay for that wall. Great. Lots of cheers and standing ovations. And my question would be, but how? Like, there's always seems to be a how that you want to ask with Donald Trump, but it does not seem to matter to those who are supporting him. And I think to a certain extent, this is the Republican Party's fault for, at times, a perceived lack of leadership in Washington. So now people are so angry with the way things have been managed in Washington, and on the Democratic side as well. But people are willing to do anything, and the how for Donald Trump does not matter, nor do the comments that seem insensitive that come out of his mouth. I think that's how fed up some people are. They see a guy who's a leader, and you know what? You can make fun of the bankruptcies or, you know, all this other stuff. The bottom line is, you know, the guy is a successful businessman, and, you know, show me somebody who's successful, I'll show you somebody who's failed somewhere along the way, right? And I think that's what they like about him. He's brash, and, you know, he seems hell-bent on delivering promises, and he's got a very convincing way of saying that he can.
Well, great. I love how you mentioned both sides, because it seems like Bernie's popular, even though he seems to be losing in the superdelegates department. But Bernie and Trump are both very popular, and they're both anti-establishment. And it seems like people are looking for that right now, and maybe it no matter what the cost.
Yeah, and it would be interesting if this race were happening at another time, because, you know, you might make the argument that Senators Cruz and Rubio, for example, are not part of, you know, the long, entrenched Washington problem. Right? These are fairly new guys on the scene, but, you know, given the timing of the 2016 election, the fact that we've, you know, had a president in office now for 8 years, there's guaranteed to be a new one come 2017. The polarization of the Washington politics, all that stuff has just, you know, the idea that this is a do-nothing Congress, right? These guys can't seem to get out of their own way. It just seems to feed into that, and that the timing of it really seems beneficial to somebody like Donald Trump, who's obviously is a master marketer.
Gordon, I've said this to Brian on our show the past week or two, that whether Trump wins the nomination or even the presidency, whatever he does, whether he wins or loses, he's going to be unstoppable. He'll be able to do whatever he wants to do next, whether it's start his own network or take over something else altogether. He's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and for the first several weeks, John, I thought that this is where this was going. I thought this was sort of a reinvention or a reintroduction or a new wing of the Trump brand, and I thought this is funny. Great job by him dominating the media, and I thought this will be over in several weeks, and he'll have made his name, and then we will go back to what in years past we will have perceived to be a normal political primary season. But I was obviously way off base on that. He appears to be serious at this point, but you're right. Win, lose, or draw, there's a brand new Trump brand out there.
Switching over to the Democrat side, it seems like they were pretty evenly matched at the beginning, but Hillary's picking up a lot of the delegates now. Do you think Bernie Sanders has a chance today, Super Tuesday, in the South?
I do not. I think he lost the African-American vote by way, way more than anticipated. I think, Mrs. Clinton was looking to run up the score, to use a sports analogy, and she did. I think she needed that coming off, the shaky Iowa performance. She got thumped in New Hampshire. She needed to run up the score and show that she was the real deal, especially among the black vote, and she did. And with so many of the states on Super Tuesday having Democratic voters that are African American, I think she wins those big. The big thing, I think, for Mr. Sanders is looking past Super Tuesday and surviving March. If he can survive March, I think then it becomes a slightly different conversation. I think she owns Super Tuesday, but he has to look ahead to Ohio and Michigan and maybe some of those other northeastern states like his own Vermont when they vote. I think Delaware's in that group, maybe Pennsylvania. Also, if he can score a couple there, I think he can be considered a more legitimate part of this conversation.
And we're talking with Gordon Deal here on the 1480 Club. Gordon, last question. On your show, you talk with a lot of reporters and commentators. Have you heard any interesting observations or predictions from them about today's Super Tuesday voting?
You know what? The general consensus seems to be that Super Tuesday is for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton to lose. They are the ones who are predicted to win. The polls indicate they're going to win. Other than, I think, one poll I saw where Senator Cruz was leading in Texas, his home state, which might be expected. But other than that, this is a day for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. If they don't win, that will be your lead story come tonight or when the dust finally settles at some point Wednesday afternoon. It's all about Trump and Clinton for Super Tuesday. Yet to be determined if the conversation changes toward middle to late March.
Our thanks to Gordon Deal, whose national radio show, This Morning with Gordon Deal, is on this station, WLEA, weekdays 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Gordon, thank you for calling in.
Thanks, John. I loved it. I appreciate it as well.
Yes, same here. Coming up next, live weather with Rob Carolyn on this Super Tuesday.